Yo, what is up, everyone? This is Francis over here from PlayerEssence.com, and welcome to another Player Essence Cross Nintendo Live I have for you guys. This one is going to be recapping Nintendo's full E3 offerings, not just the digital event, but talking about the Smash Bros. Presentation they had beforehand, the Nintendo World Championships, the digital event, Nintendo's E3 show floor, because I was actually at the show playing their games and covering them live, and also Treehouse Live plus Mario Maker Best Buy event. So the show's going to cover that, and we're also going to give Nintendo an overall grade for all of their E3 showings. We're going to be talking a little bit about Devil's Third. We're going to talk about my most anticipated games in 2015 for Nintendo. So that's this year, my most anticipated games. Then we're going to get into some NX talk as far as articles that came up, interviews with Reggie Fils-Aimé and Kensuke Tanabe, who's the Metroid Prime dude. And yeah, and then we're also going to talk, I'm going to give my take on as far as the NX and what Nintendo's doing and some of the stuff that I've been trying to just uncover. I'm just been trying to connect the dots to a lot of the stuff, especially with Nintendo's lackluster show. But let's get into it here. And if you have any questions, look at the bottom left-hand corner. This is also a Q&A too I'll be having at the end of it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to hit that Q&A button, or it's a little thing that you can hit at the bottom left-hand side of the screen there. That will take you over to the actual live stream on Google Plus, and then in the top right hand corner you can click a little button and then you can ask your question. So if you have a question that you want to ask, please put that there. And excuse me, my voice is a little raspy today just because E3 was crazy. I was talking to so many different people. And I do want to do a little bit of housekeeping as far as the website. I know a lot of people have been a little upset with some of the stuff that I've said, and probably going to get a little upset with some of the stuff that I'm going to say later on. And really, I'm not trying to bash any company. I'm not trying to doom Nintendo or anything like that. I'm not even suggesting that at all, really. I'm just trying to do my due diligence and kind of uncover what I think and give my opinion, because this is what I do. Is you get news, and then you also get my opinion, on stuff. So that goes. So that's that. I do have an interview with Chris Davies from Rare, and we're talking about Rare Replay and Sea of Thieves. That is going live at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. Pacific. So as soon as you're done watching this, you should be on the lookout coming up very soon for that interview with Chris Davies from Rare, live from the E3 show floor. So you guys should look forward to that as well. I also have a little sit down and talk with Broken Games HD. I ran into him at E3, so look forward to that later in the week probably. And I also have an interview with D1, Nairo, and DeBuzz. All of them are in the Smash community, so that should also be interesting as well. Plus, I have an interview with I think it's Jeremy from Motika, and they are making the new IP called Gigantic for the Xbox One and Windows 10 PC. And I got to play that game, and I got a good interview with him. So look forward to that. All coming up this week on Player Essence. All right. So now that we've got that housekeeping out of the way, I do want to get right into Nintendo's full E3 offerings and my grade. So we're going to start off with the Smash Bros. Presentation. I thought that was fantastic. I actually played a little bit of Smash Bros. Before I started this podcast, and it's just a fantastic game. It was a fantastic update. There was so many cool things that they added. They actually added some balance patches in there too, which they didn't put that in there. They never do as far as balancing goes, but they did balance the game a little bit more with some of the other characters, and they still need to fix a couple things with Roy and Ryu, in my opinion, but they're powerful characters. The presentation was done so well. I love the new stages that they added. I love the bundle. I mean, I like the fact that they're adding so much content to this game, and I know a lot of people have complained about the price, but if you look at it, like these characters like Ryu and Roy, they add so much depth to the game. In my opinion, they charge, what is it, $3.99 for one character, $3.99 a character, then I think $4.99 if you want them on both systems. So I mean, the amount of depth from each character that you can explore and play. And Roy, people are talking about, oh, he's a clone. No, he's not. If you're not very good at Smash Bros, then yeah, he's a clone of Marth or Lucina. Then he's a clone. But if you actually take the time to learn and know what Roy can do, Roy's better than Marth, and he's definitely better than Lucina. He destroys Lucina, and he's also better than Marth. And the thing about it is that Marth takes a lot of skill to use because of his blade. You need to get tippers. Roy, if you like to be in people's face, Roy is so much better because his blade is more powerful at the base, and being really close to people is easier than spacing for tippers. So I mean, I love what they did. Ryu is fantastic. I absolutely love how they presented him. I love how they put him in the gameplay. I love how he moves. Everything is just great with Ryu. The Hadouken, being able to do the inputs. It takes a little bit of time, but when you get that input and you get that Shoryuken and you knock somebody out that keeps on jumping in the air, is amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and give them an A plus for the Smash Bros. Presentation. It started off very good. Moving into the Nintendo World Championships, this was also very good. I like the fact that they had the regional qualifiers and they also had the invited guests. It flowed, even though the event went a little longer than I would have liked it to. Some people might have liked that. I thought it was cool, but I thought it was okay. And the games were really good. They had a long variety of games. They had Splatoon, which was good. They had the Metroid Prime Blast Ball, which we just knew as Blast Ball then, which was somewhat interesting at the time. We were like, oh, it's a new IP. And then they had so many cool games. I mean, I think it was overall, it was great. And they had Smash Bros. They brought out D1 for Smash Bros., which was also really good as well. So I think overall, the Nintendo World Championships was good. I'm going to go ahead and give that a B plus. So Nintendo, they started off really well. They had an A plus for the Smash Bros. Presentation and then a B plus for the Nintendo World Championships. But this is where it takes just a drastic nosedive. And if you haven't seen it already, I did grade the digital event, but I'm just going to go over it, just recap it. Just for me, there wasn't enough announcements with a punch, and the announcements that they did make were not what I was expecting, nor were what I wanted. I didn't want another tennis game. We got Mario Tennis. That's really the only new Wii U game that they announced at that event, and I did not want that. They announced Mario and Luigi Paper Jam, which is more. It seems like any new announcements, it was tied to Mario, and I just wish that maybe there was. I don't mind the amount of like the 3DS announcements that they made and stuff like that, but I just wish they would have made a little bit more like a new IP RPG or something like that. That would have hooked me a little bit more. There wasn't really anything new as far as the announcements go, and they spent a lot of time like on Amiibo, and they spent a lot of time talking about games that we already knew of and the developer stories and Miyamoto drawing. And for a presentation, that necessarily wasn't as interesting to me. And that's maybe something that I would have liked to watch like on Nintendo's website or something like that as an E3 presentation, especially compared to their digital event last year, where they had exciting new IPs like Splatoon, and they had a bunch of great games like Hyrule Warriors, and they had really cool stuff. Just the games over and over, like what was it, Captain Toad, and they had Kirby. They had all these games that we didn't even know about just pop up out of nowhere. So the digital event, that was last year was their first year doing it, and then this year was their second year, and I'm setting it on the standard based on what they did last year, and based on what they did last year compared to this year, it's definitely not comparable. So the digital event, I'm giving it a D minus. If you want to get my more in-depth thought on it, you can actually go on my channel. You'll see the video there. I did grade it and I went more in depth. Next, we're going to move on to the Nintendo's E3 2015 show floor. Now, this, believe it or not, was actually worse than the digital event. The show floor was filled full of the same games. Like, they had Mario Maker, they had Yoshi's Woolly World, and they had Star Fox. And literally those three games for Wii U took up so many demo stations, like almost all of them, and I would have, and I didn't, I was like, whoa, why are there so many demo stations just for these three games? Last year when I went to E3, there were so many different games. There was Yoshi's Woolly World, there was Captain Toad, there was Hyrule Warriors, there was Smash Bros, there was Bayonetta 2 and Bayonetta 1, there was Kirby, there was so many games, there was Project Guard, Giant Robot. They had all of that on the show floor. They packed all of that in there. And then this year it was just a few games, and they had the 3DS games too. But last year they had 3DS and they had Wii U. The show floor was sparse. It was very sparse. I would have liked to seen a demo station for Devil's Third. I would have liked to seen a demo station for Fatal Frame. I would have liked to seen a demo station for some of the other games that they have coming out. Maybe some of the even the third parties, maybe Lego Dimensions or something like that. I mean, I don't know. I know they had Skylanders in the very back that you can play, but yeah, it was just very sparse in the show floor. It didn't take me long to it didn't take me long to get coverage and footage of all the Wii U games that I wanted, and I just was like, okay, well, I'm done. And I went back in line. I even got to play Star Fox again like two or three more times. I played it in Nintendo's really cool sound audio replica Star Fox thing that they had. Then I also played it just in line on the normal show floor. And I also did the same thing with Yoshi. And I did the same thing with Mario Maker. It was just there were so many demo stations of those three games. It was easy. Nintendo's booth was nowhere near as packed as it was last year. Last year, man, it was crazy. But this year, I'm gonna go ahead and give their E3 2015 show floor an F plus. It was sparse, and you want to see a packed show floor. You want to see a bunch of different games. You don't want to see the same game on a bunch of different demo stations, and that's kind of what Nintendo had this year. So F plus for their show floor. Now moving on to the Treehouse Live. The Treehouse Live, I'm gonna go ahead and give that a C plus. And the reason why I'm going to give it a C plus is because they, once again, it was just limited with the amount of games they did. It wasn't as packed as last year, but it was still good. They had a couple segments with Xenoblade Chronicles X, which was good. They had a segment. They had Shin Megami Tensei Crossfire Emblem, which is good. They had Metroid Prime Federation Force, which I know a lot of people are hating on that game, but they kind of explained it a little bit more there, and it looks okay. But I still think that game should have just been a new IP. In my opinion, it should have just been a new IP. And that I can't stand the character design. The character designs in that game look really odd, like big head looking robots. I mean, that's not affecting the game, but I just wish the art style was just a little different. I wish it was more anime. Like, I wish they would have just made like an anime inspired like shooter, or it just like looks like really cool. Like, what was that game that Capcom made a couple years ago? It had like a dude like with pink hair, and it was on the 3DS, and it was also on the PS3. I can't remember the game right off the top of my head, but it was like an anime inspired like third person shooter that never came out in North America. But anyway, maybe I'll remember later. But I just wish that it was more slick looking, and it just doesn't appeal to me. But will I play the game? Of course I'll play the game. I'll play it. And I'll see if it's good or not. I played it at E3. It's okay. I mean, it's okay. It's okay for right now, but we'll see. So Treehouse Live, I give them a C plus. I think it was good, but I mean, compared to the amount of games they had last year, it wasn't quite as good. All right, and next I'm going to go to the Mario Maker Best Buy event, which I'm going to go ahead and give a solid A. From what I understand, people were able to play the game. There was enough demo stations. People were having fun. I had a friend of mine who went to the both days because he didn't go to E3, and I said, hey, make sure you tell me how it was. And he said the Best Buy that we had here, it was fantastic that they had it. And he said it was good. People were having fun. People were playing levels, and everything went well. So I'm going to go ahead and give them an A for letting people do that. The only thing he says that it was just like Mario Maker. It's a great game, but he has a Wii U. The person that I'm talking about, he has a Wii U. He has all the games. He's a core gamer, but he's just like, yeah, he's like, he's like, compared to like, what they did last year, like with Smash Bros and stuff. He just said that this wasn't, just Smash Bros is just a better game, he feels. So really, I mean, I would give it an A plus maybe if they had more than one game or anything. But for him, he just felt that Smash Bros was a little bit better. But I wasn't there. But I'm just going off of what he said, so I'm going to just go ahead and give it a solid A because letting people play Mario Maker is great. So overall, I actually assigned points to each one. So like letter grade, like I assigned points and I totaled up everything. I averaged it out, and Nintendo got a D for the event, a 66 percentage total. So D overall for all of Nintendo's offerings at E3, I give them a D. Which look, it's going to happen. I mean, nobody, for the most part, nobody's when you go to school, and sometimes you try your best on a test and you might get a D. You might get it, you might not. I remember when I was in biology. Had a really hard biology class when I was in junior college. This was almost a decade ago, guys. And I studied so hard. I studied and studied and studied and got a D, Which it happens, it happens. So Nintendo, and I understand why it happened this year. I have my own theories what's going on, but we'll talk about that later. But overall, give them a D. I think last year was a A plus. This year is a D, and I'm hoping next year is going to be right back to an A, which I think next year is going to be. I think they're going to come out guns blazing next year. So sometimes you got to take an L just so you can train up and get to that W. So it is what it is. So Devil's Third. Where is this game, Nintendo of America? I sent out this tweet last night. If you follow me on Twitter, you would know. And yeah, this game was a no-show at E3, and I'm not happy about it. And remember, everybody, if you want, you can ask your questions. Please hit that button in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, and you can ask questions. I already see some people asking some questions, and you know what? Ask away, because this is also a Q&A, guys. All right, so Devil's Third was a no-show, and I wish that it was there, because Devil's Third is one of those games that I think that Nintendo needs it. I think Nintendo needs this type of game just to give Wii U owners something different. We finally got a taste of Splatoon, the shooter Nintendo style, which is more on the I wouldn't say kiddie aesthetics, but it's more on the lighthearted aesthetics, really kid-friendly as far as the look of it. Serious game, but kid-friendly. And the Devil's Third is the complete opposite of that. It's more of the geared towards the hardcore, at least what people think hardcore is. Bloody, violence, mature, and I think that's a good contrast. I think it's good to have variety in your games. And the fact that Nintendo didn't have this game on the show floor, to me, was a big problem, because I was really looking forward to getting my hands on this game. It looks fun. I'm a big fan of Itagaki. And the fact that Nintendo just decided we're not going to have mature games on the show floor. That's really what they said this year. You know, last year they had mature games. Last year they had Bayonetta that you can play, Bayonetta 1 and 2, you know. And previous years they had like Zombie U and stuff. But the fact that Nintendo just said we're not going to have any mature games on the show floor, it was just no Fatal Frame. I would have loved to play Fatal Frame. Like if Nintendo would have just had Fatal Frame and Devil's Third on the show floor, that would have bumped up their grade, in my opinion, their show floor grade, to at least a solid C. Those are two games that made with third-party developers that I'm really looking forward to, and people really want to know what's going on. And it would have been nice to play the single player in Devil's Third. I mean, Devil's Third, I don't think it looks like a super AAA game, but man, it doesn't look like a horrible game, and I bet you anything is better than Zombie U. So at least that game has content compared to Zombie U. Zombie U doesn't have any online multiplayer, and the single player is good, but I mean, that was a launch title. But you get what I'm saying, guys. Like, Devil's Third looks like it's packed full of content. What they did with the whole Japanese presentation of the game, it looks good. It looks okay. It looks like a solid B title. And the fact that I wasn't able to play that at E3 to cover it for you guys is a little upsetting. And the fact that Nintendo of America doesn't even want to talk about the game is weird. Maybe we're going to get a Nintendo Direct. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we're going to get either just like a pre-uploaded mini Direct with Itagaki talking about the game. They're going to try to hype it right before it comes out, and then it drop and try to get as many people to buy it. That's what I'm thinking, but who knows? You know, so yeah, but who knows? But yeah, the fact that we didn't get Devil's Third is just a little disappointing for me. So next, I'm going to go into my most anticipated games of 2015. Yeah, my most anticipated games of 2015 for Nintendo. And I'm going to go down the list. I have 5 games here, and I'm going to tell you guys why I'm anticipated for those games. And coming in at number 5 is Yokai Watch. I think Yokai Watch was really good. I think that Yokai Watch did the way that they showed it off, and I think the way that they put it in there, I think it's going to be a fun game. And the fact that it's coming over to the West this year is good. I mean, I was hoping that they could get Bravely second for this year, but they really wanted to launch Yokai Watch, since there's no like real Pokemon game. They really wanted to launch Yokai Watch this year, and I bet you anything they're going to really heavily advertise this to the Pokemon audience. And so I understand why it's launching holiday 2015, and they pushed the localization for Bravely second to next year. But I wish those games would have flip-flopped. I wish we would have got Bravely second this year and Yokai Watch next year. But I completely understand why they did that. But I still think that Yokai Watch is going to be a fantastic game, so I'm really looking forward to that game. Coming in at number 4 is Fatal Frame 5, or Fatal Frame Maiden of Blackwater. I think from what they've shown at the Treehouse, how they actually got to explain the game. It's my first time not watching a Japanese stream or an American person playing the game who doesn't know how to read anything, but the fact that they actually showed it, it looks fun. It looks good. Now, I know the game didn't get the best review scores, but it still looks like a solid B or C title, which is fine. There is nothing wrong wrong with B titles, to be honest, guys. I mean, every game is never going to be triple A production values and all that. There is nothing wrong with these type of games. In my opinion, there's nothing wrong with these type of games. Just as long as they try to polish them, it might have some issues here and there, but that's okay. And just as long as we get it, I'm fine with that. And this game is one of those games that I really would have liked to play on the show floor and cover for you guys. But I'm still excited for it. It's on number 4 on my list. Coming in at number 3 for Nintendo is Devil's Third. Once again, it could be a B title, could be a little bit better, but still a lot of content. Looks fun. Looks like the multiplayer is going to be really cool. The single player looks fun, and I love the fact that it's third person, zoom into first person when you shoot, and you can do melee combats, and there's really cool boss battles. Once again, it's one of those things where like Nintendo. Not having that on the show floor is really upsetting, but I'm still anticipated for this game, even though we haven't got any hands-on. Nobody's played this game, apparently. Nobody's really played this game outside in the media, but hey, it is what it is. We'll see how they handle this. Coming in at number 2 is Star Fox Zero. Now, I played a lot of this game. Nintendo, they had 2 ways of it set up. Like they had basically a line that everybody was in when I went there. Excuse me. They had a line where you can go and you can sit down in this like Star Fox theme. Like it was like the arcade, basically. Like you sat down in it and it was like the Star Fox themed seat. And it was all decked out with Star Fox stuff. And it had a speaker set up, like a surround sound speaker set up built into the thing. And whenever like Slippy or whenever Falco or anybody talked, you heard it from different sides pertaining to where they were on the battlefield. So Nintendo had that set up, and I waited in line for damn near 2 hours to play that thing. And I didn't realize that there was a media priority line, and so I kind of spent a little bit more time than I should have spent, because at E3, believe it or not, it's not all media. There's a lot of people that are just like there. That are just like, they're not covering anything. They're just there to play the games. And as a media member, you can actually go up to like the reps and say, hey, is there like a media priority line? And they'll try to get you in there to play it quicker. So that's one thing that I learned from this year's E3 that I didn't know last year, but now I know, and I'm going to abuse that next year. But anyway, they had that set up, and when you played Star Fox with the gamepad and sitting down in there, it was so immersive. The sound design in this game is phenomenal. Like I was talking to I think Terminator Juice said something, because like he's a big audiophile guy, and I was like, dude, you're gonna be in heaven with this game, with this 5.1 setup, like, or some really good headsets. You're gonna the sound design in this game is amazing, and I'm looking forward to playing Star Fox Zero a lot. I mean, the graphics are a bit underwhelming, which they could still get better, but the gameplay is solid. But there's not a lot of stuff going on screen, so they really need to try to squeeze every ounce of juice out of the Wii U as they can. But that separate perspective is zapping up a lot of power, and I think that's what's causing the game to not look as good, and for there not to be as many enemies on screen, to have 2 distinct viewpoints and it be as detailed as it is on the gamepad. I think that's really sucking the juice. I mean, the Nintendo didn't make the Wii U strong enough to handle that type of, I mean, barely any games do that, where they have like the separate perspective and it's super detailed like that. Barely any games do that. Usually games just have like a basic map or something like that, or they just do off TV play, or they just mirror what's going on just so they don't take juice from the system. I mean, Donkey Kong Country was like that, and I think Star Fox is really zapping all the juice out of the Wii U, and that's why the game looks the way it does. Is it worth it? After playing Star Fox, I would say right now at this point, no, it's not worth it to zap the juice from the Wii U in order to do the separate gamepad perspective thing. I think they should just use Wiimote and Nunchuck, and they just Pro Controller, and make that game look as good as they can, and online multiplayer. I think that's what they should have focused on, and I think that would have just been fine. I don't think that they needed to do the gamepad. Now, how does the gamepad play? It's cool, but I'll be completely honest, I don't really want to do the whole gamepad thing. I mean, I think it's fun for the, it's a novel idea, and I understand that they're trying to convey the value of the gamepad. But the more I played it, I was just like, you know what? I kind of just want an old school Star Fox experience with new elements like the walker and HD graphics and online multiplayer. That would have just been fine for me. And I think, Star Fox is old school, Star Fox is old school, and that's what people are expecting. And I understand that they need to do new things, and I understand that they're trying to make the value of the gamepad. But personally, me, Star Fox Zero would be better with Wii Remote and Nunchuck support, and basically just making the graphics look real good in online multiplayer. I think that would be what would make Star Fox, just for me, not for everybody. Now, I'm not saying that they're wrong for doing this, but that's just what for me would make it better. But hey, I'm still looking forward to it. I think it still is fun. It's super fun. Like, I was having a blast turning into the walker and shooting stuff down, and just playing the game in HD graphics was really good. So I mean, overall, I was having fun, but there's not a lot of stuff going on screen, and the gamepad play it's okay. It works, but I don't know if it's worth everything else you give up for it. But still really good. Really, still really good. All right, next we're going to move on to Xenoblade Chronicles X. And before I continue, my number one game is Xenoblade Chronicles X. And before I continue, if you guys want to ask a question, because I know I see I have some more viewers, please hit the bottom left-hand corner. You will see that. Click that yellow button or that yellow text, then go over to the page, then click the top right-hand corner, and you should be able to ask me a question in the Q&A app. So my number one game is Xenoblade Chronicles X, and for all the reasons that I saw at the Treehouse, we have the first look at the English voice actors. So good. I love the English voice actors from the characters they had there. The gameplay is just as solid. It just looks amazing. And I've played the game. Xenoblade Chronicles X is a fantastic title. It's still my most anticipated game of 2015. Pretty much for all systems, it's my most anticipated game, and it's the game that I'm looking forward to playing the most. They showed off more of the scale gameplay, and it was really cool to actually be able to read all the different attacks. And that's the one reason why I stopped playing the Japanese version. I'm like, okay, I'm tired of having to, I don't know what any of this means. I'm tired of having to look at translations. I just want the game in English. And when I was watching them and seeing all the different stuff, I was like, man, I just can't wait to play this game. So Xenoblade Chronicles X, my number one most anticipated game. So let me recap my most anticipated, my top 5. Yokai Watch, number 5. Fatal Frame Made It in Blackwater, number 4. Devil's Third, number 3. Star Fox Zero, number 2. And Xenoblade Chronicles X, number 1. Okay, so that wraps that up for that. Next, we are going to move into the main topic, and well, actually not the main topic, but heading into the main topic, and we're going to be discussing what Nintendo has said about the NX, and I know this is necessarily a popular topic with a lot of people on PlayerEssence, so I'm sorry, but I do have to talk about this stuff, considering that Nintendo did mention these things, and this is some pretty significant revolutions with the Nintendo NX. So we do know now that the Nintendo NX is a home console. Reggie Fils-Aimé basically just said it. So let me go ahead and give you guys the direct quote from Reggie Fils-Aimé. This was from, I think it was Game Industry Biz or something, some type of interview he did. I'll have a link at some point in the description. Quote, this is quote Reggie Fils-Aimé. We've also said publicly that we are already hard at work on our next home console, and that's another element we'll be talking about much later. So they've already publicly stated the NX, okay, and we do know that it is a home console. So yeah, and if there was any doubt that it was a home console, this is what Kensuke Tanabe, who's the producer of the Metroid Prime series, this is what Kensuke Tanabe had to say about the NX. He actually also stated that, well, this is a couple different things. He talked about Metroid, and he said that Metroid is now likely to come to the Nintendo NX, not the Wii U. So here's what he said about that. If we started for Wii U now, it would likely take 3 years or so. So it would likely be on Nintendo's NX console, he said. It's a long time, but it would need to include a lot of content, which would take a lot of work on the development side. Now, when Tanabe was asked about, well, the Wii U gamepad is perfect for Metroid, you guys could do a lot of cool stuff, this is what he had to say. It is a great idea, I agree. Truth be told, making HD games takes a lot of time and resources. Tanabe concluded when asked why Nintendo had not made a Metroid Prime for the Wii U. Here's the quote again. I haven't been able to collect a team or the resources to do it. So what Tanabe is basically saying right there, one, he refers to the game, he refers to the NX as a console. He says calls it a console. So we got two confirmations that the NX is a home console. And next, he also says, he didn't have the resources. So what that means when a producer says they don't have the resources is that he basically said, hey, he probably went up to Nintendo after Donkey Kong and said, hey, can we make Metroid? And Nintendo at the time was probably looking at the sales and was like, the sales of the Wii U. I mean, they could be. Now, I don't know about this for 100% sure, but maybe they're looking at the sales and just saying, we don't want to give you the money and the resources right now to do that. And that's basically what Tanabe is saying. I don't know what Retro's working on. Maybe they're working on a different type of game for the Wii U. Maybe we'll see that next year. But it just goes into my main topic. Like, Nintendo cannot put all of their eggs in the Wii U basket at this time. And I know that's hard to hear, guys. And like I said, I'm not dooming Nintendo. I'm not saying that, oh, it's doomed, everything's on the NX, but you have to be smart about these things, guys. This is what happened last generation. The Wii was dying out or fading, okay? Sales were going down. It was fading. Nintendo had already sold a ton of it. People had known about their next console. People knew about the Wii U in 2011. And then Nintendo says, okay, let's dump all these games of the Wii U at the end of the life cycle. Let's dump Xenoblade Chronicles X. Xenoblade Chronicles. Let's dump The Last Story. Let's dump Skyward Sword. All of these cool games come out at the end of the Wii's life, and then the Wii U launches with what? With mini game collections and 2D platformers, and junk third parties and Xbox 360 ports that sometimes performed worse. Nintendo cannot do that this generation. They cannot do that. If they put everything on Wii U at the very end of its life and have nothing to launch the NX with, they're going to be screwed. They're going to start out exactly like the Wii U was. They have to hold some of this stuff for the NX. Either do cross-generation and wait and put it on both, or move it to the NX. They have to, or the NX is screwed, because Nintendo can't rely on third-party support like they did last generation. They had, or with the Wii U, they had an idea. They had an idea with, hey, we're going to have our family-friendly type games, mini game collections. We can get the casual base, and we're going to have the core games. We're going to have Mass Effect. We're going to have Madden. We're going to have FIFA. We're going to have Darksiders. We're going to have Ninja Gaiden. We're going to have Zombie U. We're going to have all these mature third-party games, and it didn't work. So Nintendo cannot trust third parties, and they cannot just say, okay, let's put everything on Wii U. When NX comes out, we'll start making games then. And Nintendo does not have the resources to make a bunch of new Wii U games, awesome Wii U games, and also make a bunch of NX games and be ready for a 2017 launch or a late 2016 launch. They can't. Nintendo is not, they just can't do that. So, I'm not trying to say that Nintendo should stop supporting the Wii U. That's not what I'm saying, and I hope nobody thinks that's what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that they should make some games for Wii U if they can, but they should also, make sure that they got launch games for the NX. The NX needs to launch with big franchises. I think it needs at least 4 to 5 big franchises at launch. It needs Zelda. I think it needs Metroid. It needs a Mario game. It needs an F-Zero, or it needs something else. It needs that, and it needs a couple third-party ports. It needs a couple third-party ports, and it needs those big franchises, and it will do okay at launch. But then they need to sustain it. They need to sustain it. So I do want to mention one more thing as far as Nintendo and the Wii U. I made a post earlier talking about how, on the PlayerEssence, that how I'm not dooming Nintendo or the Wii U, and I said that I'll talk about it more, what I think, as far as on this podcast, which I did. And it makes sense where Nintendo went. This whole generation, like, we saw a lot of platformers and mini game collections this gen, because I think Nintendo invested a ton of money into the Wii U. I think, the Wii U, they invested more money than they've ever invested into any console, and that's why the price hasn't dropped. I mean, the Wii U still hasn't got a real price drop. I mean, they took the model that was $350 and they put it to $299, but there was already a model that was $299 or $300 from launch. And the 350 model, all it did was put Nintendo Land in there and give you more flash memory and give you some like console stands and stuff like that. So all they did, they never really got a real price drop. You could have got a Wii U at $300 anyway. Um, from the very beginning. So Nintendo is saying, hey, we're not going to lose any money on this Wii U. We're going to salvage what we can get. That's why they haven't dropped the price. I mean, they could have made the Wii U sell a lot more if they dropped the price, but they're not going to, because then they're going to lose money, and they're already working on their next console. So um, it kind of makes sense now why there's so many 2D platformers on the Wii U and mini game collections, because Nintendo invested so much money into the console, and they're looking at it from a balance perspective and saying, hey, if we make all these 3D games with invest a ton of money in there, and the Wii U's not selling, are we going to make any money back? Whereas you can make a mini game collection, it can sell 500,000 copies, which Mario Party's done, and they're going to make a ton of profit off that, because it's just a mini game collection. That's not pushing the Wii U at all. I mean, that's why Amiibo in general, why they're so focused on Amiibo, because they can produce these Amiibo, they can turn them out, they can flip it and make so much profit off these things. So that's the reason why they're doing these things. That's why the reason why we got Amiibo. We didn't get a full-fledged Animal Crossing at this point. We got an Amiibo festival. It's cheaper to make, and you can just put it out. Now, am I agreeing with them doing that? Heck no. I'm not agreeing with that. I don't want mini game collections. I want real full-fledged games, and it's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate that Nintendo is at this point to where they did that. Now, did they make awesome games? Yes. I think Nintendo put everything they got into the games the good core games. Like, for example, I think games like Pikmin 3, I think games like Mario Kart 8, Super Smash Bros. I think Nintendo really invested heavily into these games, and they're fantastic. But at the same time, Nintendo couldn't do that for everything. So that's why we have the mini game collections. That's why we have the 2D platformers, because those are just so cheap to make. I think Donkey Kong is just cheap to make, and New Super Mario Bros. Is cheap. Super Luigi U is cheap. Mario Party's cheap. Amiibo Festival's cheap. Mario Tennis, it's cheap. So that's the reason why we're getting these type of games, and it is what it is. It is what it is. So that's my take on it. And I think with that, I'm definitely going to move on to the questions that we have here. And remember, if you want to ask a question, just go ahead and use the Q&A app, bottom left-hand corner of the screen. Hit that link over to the actual Google Plus page where the podcast is going on. Then at the top right-hand corner, you can go ahead and ask a question. So I see here I got quite a number of questions, mainly the same people, but that's okay. We'll see if we can get them all answered. This one comes from Harden25. Okay, the NX has a high chance to be a home console, but what do you think it will? But do you think it will be traditional console like the GameCube, or more down with the hybrid path, which will help with game droughts and allow Ninja to produce more games for one system instead of two? I think that the NX, it's a shared. I think it's more than one system, in my opinion. I think the NX is a portable, and the NX is also a home console. I think they're just, because remember, they did the fusion dance with their portable R&D and their console R&D. So I think that they're both planning it, and they're going to release the home console NX first, and then the portable NX next. So I do think that it's two separate things, but they're going to release the home console one first, and yeah, it's going to have similar architectures. So a lot of the games and the OS and stuff, like when you get a message, you can check it on either one. I think it's going to share games, and it's going to share, the same OS and stuff like that. So I don't think that it's going to be like Wii U and 3DS, completely different things, to where you have to slapstick together Miiverse, and it takes 15 years to load, like trying to load up Miiverse on the 3DS is ridiculous, because that thing, Miiverse was built for Wii U, but I don't think Miiverse takes so long to boot up. Even on the Wii U, it still takes, it still takes a little bit of time to boot up. So I think that they're going to intertwine everything. I think they're going to build everything instead of just building everything separately. So yeah, that's what I think the NX is. All right. Next question comes from Capable Tie 7. Thoughts on Amiibo sales surpassing Wii U sales. Also, how they will implement Amiibo into the NX. Yeah, that's that's not good. Amiibo sales being high is good, but when the peripheral sales of the Amiibo surpassed the actual console sales, and Amiibo launched in November, late November, and they've already sold more consoles. I mean, I know it's a lot cheaper. Amiibo are a lot cheaper, but it's already sold more than the actual consoles you've put out as of March, the end of March. That's not good, and it just shows that the Wii U really it's tough. Hard. It's just the sales are tough, but I think another thing that kind of ties into it, it's like another reason why I think the NX is also being fast tracked. It's like Nintendo hasn't updated their system with the new feature in 1 year. The last time we got an update was almost a year ago, if I'm not correct. The quick boot menu. I mean, how do you sell your system in today's day and age? How do you sell your system without updating it? People have been asking for certain features. They're not adding it to the Wii U. Either it can't do it, or Nintendo's like, you know what? We don't want to spend the money to rework the system, because apparently you can't update the system as fast as Microsoft and Sony can update their systems, because Microsoft gets new updates pretty much every single month with new features added, with new stuff, and it's not slowing down. They have a whole feedback page, to where you can tell them, hey, I would like this feature. And every single month, Major Nelson says, hey guys, we're listening to you. In my opinion, and I know I'm getting a little bit off track with this question, but I did want to get this one in. In my opinion, Nintendo needs to do that. Like, what's wrong with giving consumers feedback? I mean, I bought a Samsung Galaxy S5. That is one of the most expensive phones that you could buy. There were so many cheaper phones, but you know why I bought it? Because Samsung is constantly updating. Android is constantly updated. The features are easy to use. It's a fantastic phone. It's fast. It boots up quickly. It's great. You know what I'm saying? And they listen to your feedback. And in consumer electronics, if you're going to put out a system and you're going to charge $300 plus, you need to listen to people's feedback. It's not people complaining or whining or anything. It's not nothing to do with that. It's about making electronics, and it's about listening to people's feedback and adding what people want. And if people are upset with the speed of the system, or how they can't send it, how it takes like 20 to 30 to 40 seconds to send a message, then you need to fix those things. And if you don't fix those things, people aren't going to buy your product, no matter what your price is. People buy Samsung Galaxy, and iPhones outsell cheaper phones. So in my opinion, Nintendo really needs to look at consumer from a consumer standpoint. And when people say, "Hey, Nintendo, can we have something?" Listen to them. At least, I mean, Nintendo doesn't even acknowledge people that send emails like, "Hey, can we get a better messaging system?" They don't even acknowledge it. They don't care. They don't want to talk to us about that. So, I think next generation, which also goes into how will Amiibo be implemented into the NX. I think Amiibo is going to be implemented through like there might be an NFC chip on the actual NX, or there might be an NFC chip built into the controller, like the actual the actual NX controller. I think it'll be just built in, kind of like how there's an NFC chip built into the new Nintendo 3DS. I think it'll be the same thing. There'll just be a little NFC. Those things are cheap to make, so there'll just be a little NFC chip built into the controller, and it'll be the same thing. I think that it's going to be the same thing as far as it'll unlock DLC and stuff like that, as far as how Amiibo implementation. But it just ties back into the Wii U sales. It's like you really need to listen to what consumers say. I mean, I don't know if you guys have heard that song by the OJs. You got to give the people what they want, man. You got to give the people what they want, man. They need to listen to Iwata and Reggie and Miyamoto need to listen to the OJs and give the people what they want, which is Metroid, which is a system with better online and all that stuff. So that's my take. Next question comes from Harden25. On the subject of Nintendo not updating the system, do you think the details of their partnership with DNA is going to be announced soon, and we'll get those high-ass features through the partnership? That could be a possibility. Now, it will be slapsticked on there. I think it will be kind of like Miiverse, how it's like, it might take a little bit to load, or it could be built in, right into the OS. I mean, that could happen. That could be a reason why that they're waiting on that, because they're still working on it and they could still get those features. And I think that will drastically help improve the image of the Wii U. It will drastically help improve the image of the system, and it could lead to some more sales if they did fix those things. So yeah, that is definitely a good observation, Harden, and that could definitely be the case. It really depends, but also I also think that DNA is also helping Nintendo work on the NX as well. I think that that's a system that they really need to make sure that it's quick, because here's the thing, guys. Like, if you time the amount of time it takes to send a message to someone on the PS4, Xbox One, and Wii U, the Wii U by far takes the longest. And Nintendo, what is Nintendo always about? Nintendo is about ease of use. It's about accessibility. That's what Nintendo's always been about. And the Wii U is the ease of use. While we know how to use it well, you give that controller, you give that system to somebody, the average smartphone user, or the person who just like played the Wii, and they're confused. I mean, you have a separate message. Check this out, guys. You have a friends list. You have a friends list where you can't directly send messages to people. So if you want to look at your friends, it's a whole separate app. If you want to send a message, that's a whole separate app. If you want to do a Wii U video chat, that's a whole separate app. It's three separate things to do different stuff communication wise. And then I thought Nintendo would just make like one little menu, and then, hey, you want to do video chat, you want to send a message, you want to do anything just from one menu. I mean, I didn't know they'd make it in separate apps. Like, I had no clue Nintendo would build separate apps for each separate thing. I mean, that's really confusing. But I hope DNA, who works on smartphones and structure, I hope they can say, hey, Nintendo, people don't necessarily want to go to three separate things like to communicate with their friends. They just want to go to one menu, pick their friend, and have a drop down box that says chat, send a message. They want it to be, quick. PS4, it's quick. You just go up to their friends, you see their friend, press them, and everything drops down, and you can see whatever you want to do. It takes a couple seconds. So hopefully DNA can help Nintendo with that. And if they get it added to the Wii U, that'd be great. If they don't, well, hopefully they do it for the NX. Good question, Harden. Next question comes from Capable Tie 7. Do you think the NX having two letters in the subliminal message, two systems, or is just coincidence? I think there's something to do with that. Yeah, I think there could be something. I mean, I also think that the Nintendo Next is, I think it's also codenamed for like just the Nintendo Next. What if the name of the system was just called the Nintendo Next, as in, NEXT, so that also could be something. I don't know. Maybe that's a little too predictable, but yeah, it could be. I mean, who knows at this point, But we do know that that Iwata has said that the next system they do with their portable will be able to like run the same OS, or like be able to port games very easily to both, so they can avoid game droughts. So that's something that's confirmed fact. So yeah. Next question is from Capable Tie 7 again. And yes, did you hear Reggie clarify that Iwata wasn't apologizing and he meant we hear you? I think he should have kept his mouth closed. That was really dumb thing to point out. Yeah, I did hear about that. Now, the guy who translated it, I think his name is Cheesemeister on Twitter, and he said, I stand by my translation, and he's fluent. A lot of the translations that come out from these stuff, it comes from Cheesemeister on Twitter. He's not a noob, okay? And he's also on NeoGAF. He's not a noob at translating. He's fluent in English and in Japanese. What Iwata said, how Cheesemeister translated it, is exactly what happened. At least that's what I think, okay? I trust Cheesemeister. He came out and said again, no, I stand by my translation. He is not some type of, pompous guy that's like, no, I'm right, you're wrong. He would, if he made a mistake, he would say, I made a mistake. He's humble. I think he's humble. I don't think he's the type of guy that's going to sit there and beat his chest over this type of stuff. So yeah, you're right. I think it is kind of dumb that Reggie came out and did, so that he wasn't apologizing. Reggie's been on damage control mode this whole E3, and you know what? That's his job. His job was to do that. So, I don't fault him for that. But is it dumb? Yeah. I mean, come on. Iwata said what Iwata said. Cheesemeister translated it. He's standing by his translation, and I'm going to go with that. Last time I checked, Reggie can't speak Japanese. Okay, maybe he understands some, but he can't speak it like Cheesemeister does. Okay, so that's that on that. So yeah. Um, Next question comes from Capable Tie 7. Do you think Reggie slash Miyamoto Iwata should be replaced? If Nintendo got a Phil Spencer kind of guy, the NX could turn things around big time. Only complaint I have against Miyamoto is so many of his games not having online. You know, this is, I don't think my opinion whether they should be replaced or not, I don't think it matters, to be honest. A lot of people like to come out and say Reggie should be fired, Iwata should be fired. I mean, what does it matter? When it doesn't matter. None of us are going to do the firing, and nobody is going to be fired because of public pressure. Okay, nobody's going to be fired. Should the guys at Sony be fired over the PS Vita? Does anybody even ask that question because of how well the PS4 is doing? Nobody looks at the 3DS and say, oh, well, they've done a pretty good job with the 3DS. Heck, 3DS has a ton of online games. I mean, some of them don't have voice chat, but the 3DS, I mean, they announced 2 games, Metroid Prime Federation Force and Zelda Triforce Heroes. Both of those have online play. So it's really because here in the West, we more are focused on consoles. So people are like, oh my gosh, they should be fired because of the Wii U, but then they don't look at the 3DS. But here, nobody says anybody at Sony should be fired over the PS Vita. If the PS Vita it's actually doing way worse than the Wii U, because the Wii U actually sells software. So I'm not going to sit here and say anybody should be fired. I'm not going to sit here and say the PS Vita people over at Sony should be fired. I'm not going to sit here and say the Nintendo's people should be fired. And I don't know if I even said that Don Matrix should be fired, even though Don Matrix said so many stupid things for the Xbox. I don't think I ever said that. I just said, hey, he needs to stop. Like, you need to turn things around. Don Matrix isn't. I don't think any of the people that work at these companies are stupid people. I think they're very smart and intelligent people that got to the point to where they are because they work hard, because they graduated from school, because they did all the things right, to get to the position that they got to. But with that being said, I do think that they need to understand, they need to listen to the fans more. They need to open up a little bit more and listen, which, they need to put their egos aside. I think some of them have egos, not necessarily Reggie, because I think Reggie's just a mouthpiece. He doesn't make the games. He doesn't make decisions for the games. He doesn't do any of that. I think Iwata and Miyamoto, especially Miyamoto, they need to please just open up a channel of like, if we ask for something, please address us like adults, and please say like, hey, we're adding this. Just give us some hope that you guys will listen to what we have to say, because I don't think it's fair that that we buy the products and we don't have any say in what happens next, and you won't address us. I don't think it's fair. Like, I gave Nintendo plenty of time to add the features that everybody's been wanting, and I think it's a little upsetting that they won't even listen to us when it comes to that, or at least address us of what we want, like on-screen notifications, even little stuff like that. Like, I think it's a little weird. So to answer your question, to not beat around the bush like I've been doing, no, I don't think they should be replaced, because I think that they're intelligent people. But at the same time, I do think that they should do a little bit better job of listening to what we have to say and making the correct adjustments. Now, if Nintendo did it, now with that being said, if they were to be replaced and Nintendo did get a Phil Spencer type of guy, that would completely change the DNA of Nintendo. I don't know if they'd be as profitable, because the type of stuff that Phil Spencer's doing, it's costing Microsoft a ton of money in exchange for better console sales. But Phil Spencer definitely knows how to talk to the people. I'll tell you that right now. And so, I mean, Phil Spencer's doing a damn good job over at Microsoft. I have to commend him and Microsoft guys. Like, he's doing a very good job. So I will say that about Microsoft and about Phil Spencer. He's doing a freaking good job, man. So yeah, hopefully that answered your question. And yes, it sucks that Miyamoto's games that don't have online multiplayer. I mean, it does, like Pikmin 3, and then now like Star Fox, like, yeah, Miyamoto, yeah, it's just, that's not cool. Anyway, moving on. Next question comes from T Dude 73. What are your thoughts on the English dub teaser for Xenoblade Chronicles X for North America and European launch? It's good, very good. I think that they're well done, and I can't wait to play it December 4th. All right, next question comes from Jay Turner. Excuse me, guys. Sorry about that. Um, Finally, OT. Thanks for standing up for me on PE and trying to calm everyone down, especially since things got so out of hand over the last couple days. Yeah, I mean, for those who don't know, like things did get out of hand on PlayerEssence. I wasn't able to moderate the site the way that I wanted to. I was gone at E3 all day Wednesday, and Tuesday I was just posting. Thursday I was just posting, and I was so tired from standing up at E3, all day. Like I've been crashing. I've been like sleeping like a rock for the past couple of days because the thing about E3 is that you're on your feet damn near all day. Like you're up on your feet. It's tiring, believe it or not, covering, talking so much, asking the questions, walking. Oh my God, the walks that you have to make to get from one hall to another to play all the games, they are far. They're all right next to each other. Microsoft, Sony, and Atlas are pretty much all right next to each other. Then everybody else is like freaking half a mile away. So the walks that I had to make when I forgot stuff, I was like, oh my God, I have to go back and get footage of that game. I'm walking back and forth, and there's all these like taco trucks, and I'm like, no, can't eat that fattening food. Gonna fall asleep if I eat that food, so can't do it. I don't want to get sleepy. So yeah, man. So I wasn't able to moderate the site, and things got a little crazy. People over here getting mad, calling each other names, and things did get a little out of hand. And I'm sorry that I wasn't able to moderate the site, but the internet there costs money. If you want to pay, like if you want to use the Wi-Fi, you have to pay. And I'm like, I'm not paying for the Wi-Fi, and my internet doesn't work in E3. There's too much wireless stuff going on. Like your phone internet, like your 4G doesn't work. At least mine didn't. So I couldn't moderate the site at all, and I had to get footage. So yeah, things got a little bit crazy. But hey, man, like it's no problem. Like, I'm standing up for people who are just looking to have a good conversation and, keep things in perspective. Some people got a little testy, especially with all the stuff that's been going on. A lot of Nintendo fans are a little uneasy, a lot of negative stuff going on. But guys, what it comes down to is this: like life is long for the most part, and if you're fortunate enough to live, to live a long time, I mean, you can always rectify your mistakes. Like nobody here is perfect, okay? Nintendo's not perfect, Microsoft's not perfect, Sony's not perfect. I'm not making any excuses for Nintendo. I'm just saying, like, none of us are perfect. And they made mistakes, But that's okay. You live and you learn and you move on to the next thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the end of the world. And that's what I tried to convey to people on PlayerEssence. Like, it's not the end of the world, but just relax, enjoy Wii U, and and when the next thing comes out, trust me, we're gonna be hyped. It's fun. This is games. Like, just relax, and that's what I've been trying to convey to people. Just chill, okay? Like, chill. Like, there's nothing wrong with going and buying an Xbox One. There's nothing wrong with going and buying a PS4 if you want it. There's nothing wrong with going back and buying an Xbox 360. There's nothing wrong with gaming. Just game, have fun. Like I got my 360 hooked up right now. I'm like, just play games, have fun. So that's what I've been trying to convey, and hopefully people get that message. Just relax, okay? Just chill out, play some games, have some fun. So no problem, Jay Turner. Um, Next question comes from General Brown. General, I salute you. If NX was to release next year, what's your ideal launch titles? Okay, so if the NX was released next year, my ideal launch titles are Metroid Prime, obviously, Metroid Prime 4, or a new Metroid Prime game. It would be there wouldn't be a new Zelda game. Excuse me. Okay. I don't know what happened right now. I don't know if I was on the air or not, but I know I pressed the button. The voice wasn't going. So let me just repeat what I said. I'm sorry about that, guys. I would like to see ports of like Fallout 4, Final Fantasy 15. I would like to see a new Metroid game. I would like to see a Zelda port. I would like to see a Shinin games, indie games, stuff like that. For as far as the NX goes for launch, and I think that that'll be cool. Um, so yeah, so Metroid Prime, new Mario game, some remasters from GameCube or Wii U or Wii Classics, some indie games, and we're all good. Sorry about that, guys. I don't even know which stuff you heard or not because I pressed my mute button for a second and I don't know if I repressed it. Live, baby. That's how you do it live. All right. Next comes from Mick CIM. Do you expect backwards compatibility for the NX games, gamepad, amiibo? I don't expect backwards compatibility. I expect them to go with x86. And because I'm going off of what AMD said, they said, hey, in 2016, you're going to see a new console that's x86 powered, with something else. And, it's not Microsoft or Sony. So I'm expecting x86, which would kind of kill backwards compatibility unless Nintendo has some type of wizardry that they could do. But I am expecting Wii U games to get ports or digital download Wii U games. And I'm expecting amiibo. Yeah, I'm expecting like an NFC chip to be built in to the controller. So yeah, I'm not expecting gamepad. If they did do gamepad, that's cool, but I'm not expecting gamepad because the gamepad was a failed experiment for Nintendo from a business perspective. From a gameplay perspective, there's some cool games, but there's not enough that really use the gamepad in good ways. I think RPGs are the best to use the gamepad with, and Nintendo decided not to invest in RPGs this generation. And the proof, while they haven't, in 3 years of the Wii U's life, we got one major RPG from Nintendo, Xenoblade Chronicles X, and it's not even out yet. We have no other RPGs. The closest thing we have is Hyrule Warriors, which has RPG elements, but necessarily isn't an RPG like a Golden Sun. Nintendo just kind of put all their RPGs in the 3DS and no RPGs for the Wii U. So Nintendo wasn't really looking to invest in RPGs for the Wii U. So, and that I think those are the best. That's the best genre to use the gamepad. So I don't see Nintendo having backwards compatibility with the gamepad. I mean, it might happen, but I don't see it. Good question, Mick CIM. Yeah, excuse me, then bang, it cut the silence. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah. Sorry about that. It's live. That type of stuff happens. Next question comes from Capable Tie 7. What did you think of the following games? The Last Guardian. Looks like the PS3 version, in my opinion. Horizon Zero Dawn. Absolutely love it. Cannot wait. Oh, that's going to be first day one. I don't care what anybody says. I'm buying that game. Horizon Zero Dawn. So cool. Open world RPG with dinosaurs, with the robot dinosaurs, and a really cool chick with a bow where you can use stealth. RPG, sign me up, Sony. Sign me up, Guerrilla Games. Yes. 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 I'm doing the Bison meme. The Street Fighter 2 Bison. Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, sign me up, please. Uncharted 4, meh. Star Wars Battlefront, yeah, definitely good. Black Ops 3, meh. All right, next question comes from Harden25. We all agree that NX needs third-party support. Yes, we do. And we have bought third-party games for Wii U as well. But I don't think third parties will support the NX, no matter if it's the most powerful or the best-selling console. What do you think? Nintendo needs to actively court third parties if they want full support. I don't think Nintendo needs to pay third parties for everything. I think with the Wii U, with with how many systems and the whole cross-gen things that third parties were doing, like with Xbox 360, PS3, PS4, and just the install base difference, I think Nintendo needed to. But if you can get simple ports, if the NX can get simple ports, I think some developers would just say sure. Just like some developers are saying the same thing. Third indie developers are saying the same thing with Nintendo and the Wii U. It's like, okay, yeah, Unity runs on Wii U. Okay, yeah, that's fine. We'll make a port. And even if it's not profitable for them, like even if it's not like super profitable, it takes just like a little bit of time. It's very simple. I mean, we're getting indie developers porting stuff to Wii U in a couple months. Bug testing, then getting that thing out. It takes them very little time. So if that's the same thing to where they can get up and running and they can put out just to put out a port and they don't have to rework things for like a special controller scheme, because that's one thing third party developers didn't want to do. It's like, okay, you have this system and it has this gamepad, and it's like that's the hook of the system, but we don't have the time or the money, or we don't want to invest into using the gamepad. What's the point? And then like third party games come out on the system and they don't sell like gangbusters. Third party developers just like, okay, it's different architecture. We're already supporting 3 to 4 systems, and we're not going to take the time. So yeah, I think that the NX will get some support. Will it get full third-party support? No, unless Nintendo actively courts them, which I don't think they're going to do. So it will not get full third-party support. But if it uses x86 and it's powerful and it does those things, it's going to get some games. It's definitely going to get more support than the Wii U got. I mean, look at the GameCube. The GameCube had way more support from major third parties. And even though the sales weren't necessarily as good either, as far as third-party games on the GameCube, it still got the support because one, the GameCube was super easy to program for, and two, core gamers bought up the GameCube like crazy. I mean, it didn't sell the most, but still, developers were like, okay, we can put Need for Speed out on there. The port's not going to take too much time. It's an easy system to develop for. It's efficient. If the NX is the same thing, we might get the same level of support that the GameCube got, which wasn't good compared to Microsoft and Sony, I guess, but was still really good compared to the Wii U. So, I mean, the GameCube never missed out on a Madden. The GameCube never missed out on a Need for Speed. The GameCube never missed out on a Call of Duty. The GameCube never missed out on, I think it had Medal of Honor. I'm not sure, but it had a lot of different major third-party games from all the guys, even though the sales weren't that great for each of them, but they still put out stuff because it was efficient. And those GameCube ports were okay. They weren't horrible. So if Nintendo can get back into that mindset, then yeah, they'll get some of those games, but they won't get everything. Like the GameCube didn't get Grand Theft Auto, like it didn't get Black, it didn't get certain games, So I think it'll be like that. Which, I mean, I don't know. That's just me, but I'm not saying that's 100% true. But I think maybe, Next question comes from Capable Tie 7. Did Microsoft convince you to get an Xbox One? I don't blame you if not. I was disappointed with the absence of a new IP and the focus on Halo, Forza, Gears, Fable. They recycle their IPs more than Nintendo. Microsoft, I got an Xbox One before the conference. I got an Xbox One for really cheap, $199 actually to be exact. And I was looking forward to some of the franchises that Microsoft has. Like, I want to play Tomb Raider. I want to play Halo 5. I do want to play Halo. I do want to play the Gears of War game, and then Microsoft had new IPs at E3. They had Gigantic, which is a new IP, and they had Recore, which is a new IP. So they had new IPs at E3. Recore wasn't playable or in any form, but it's a new IP coming out 2016, and Gigantic was playable, and I played it, and it's good. It's like a Wind Waker art style, and it's fun. It's 60 frames per second. It has a lot of depth. So they had a new IP at the conference. I mean, yeah, they recycled their IPs, but everybody recycles their IPs. And Microsoft's new IPs that they have are, Gigantic is fun. I like Gigantic. I think that's a good new IP. It's fun. It's good, Excuse me. Next question comes from Capable Tie 7. Did you play the Ratchet and Clank demo? They had one we've seen, and the additional one. I'm very excited for this game. Yes, I did play Ratchet and Clank demo, and I will be giving you guys my hands-on impression very, very, very soon. It's fun, but I think the 30 frames per second affects the gameplay, but it's good. I did play it, but people talk about it's like Pixar level quality. No, it's not. It's not. I don't know, and it doesn't look as good as the trailer that they showed. It doesn't look as good as that in real life. Now they could still be working on it. It's coming out 2016, so it could still look better. That demo build was probably old, but from what I've seen from the demo, it doesn't look like Pixar quality. Like, it doesn't look like that at all. At least not at this point. It could later look that good, but the E3 demo did not look that good, and the 30 frames per second hampered my enjoyment, but it was still fun. But yeah, I did play it. I played a lot of it. I went back because it was easy to play. There was no lines for it. So yeah. Next question comes from Tony T-Dude 73. What are your thoughts on Ubisoft releasing a Wii U port now known as Zombie, which I called that it was going to be called Zombie, Zombie for Xbox One? My thoughts are cool. More people get to play the game. It'll be interesting to see how the game works without the gamepad. I think they're just going to do like an on-screen type of thing, like because really the second screen experience, I mean, you can just put that on screen. It's not as cool, but you can just have the screen on the screen, you know? Like, you can just put a second screen on the screen and say, well, here's the second screen and here's your radar. I mean, that's really what you can do. So, and you don't have to look down at the gamepad. So will I get the game? Probably when it's cheap, because it'll be cheap real soon. Like, it's not going to be like a $6 game for very long. So yeah. But yeah, I knew they were just going to call it Zombie. And yeah, that's cool. Hopefully it does well, and hopefully Ubisoft sees that, hey, that the franchise can continue, and hopefully they add some stuff like multiple melee weapons. Hopefully they add some stuff to the game. Online multiplayer would be nice too. All right, next question comes from Jay Turner. I like the Nintendo showcase Bravely Second on the show floor. Considering the tumultuous history they had with Square Enix during the NES era, I have hope it'll lead to better results for the NX than Wii U, especially if they can run their games. The problems with Square Enix actually came in the N64 era, not the Super Nintendo era. The Super Nintendo era was the golden age of Square Enix and Nintendo's partnership. They've got multiple Final Fantasy games. You have Chrono Trigger. You have Secret of Evermore. That was the beauty of the Super Nintendo, was the amazing relationship between Square Enix and the games of people that we now know as Miss Walker and Monolith Soft, making those amazing games. So no, it wasn't during the Super Nintendo years. It was during the N64 years. It was Final Fantasy VII. It was the price of the carts when that game was moved over to the PlayStation. That's where things just went downhill, and Square Enix just said F you to Nintendo. But yeah, Bravely Default and Bravely Second, both of those games and the success that it's had, combine that with the success that Dragon Quest has had and the remakes and stuff like that. All of that hopefully will lead to better partnerships. And with the NX, if it can run portable games and console games, those games will be popular in Japan, and we'll be able to play those on our NX as well. So yes, I do agree that Nintendo needs to hold on to any type of partnerships they can, whether it's a portable game or a console game. Next question comes from T-Dude73. Do you think that Nintendo of America had deliberately ignored the upcoming Devil's Third launch on purpose and allegedly focused on 30th anniversary of Super Mario Bros? Yes, I do. I think they're pushing Mario too much, and I think that they did that on purpose in order to sell as much Mario as they can. Next question comes from Jay Turner. I agree, those were awesome. I missed the NES days. Sorry, I meant the N64 years. Yeah, I think you just messed up with that as far as the N64 versus Super Nintendo. Yeah, a lot of people miss the NES years, or Super NES years. A lot of people do. Nintendo can get back to that state. I think they can. They just gotta try. They gotta want it. They need to have the killer instinct. No pun intended. They need to just get back that mojo, man. Like it's not something that's like, a lot of people like to complain and yell and say, Nintendo, do this, but just be encouraging. Like, encourage them to get back to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to be making videos where I look at the Super Nintendo and I'm like, you know what? This is my Super Nintendo is my favorite system of all time, as far as gaming goes. Like, as far as like games, love the Super Nintendo. Those years were amazing, and Nintendo can get back to it. They just have to want it. And I think the first step to doing that is the NX. Because the 3DS has those Super Nintendo years games. Bravely Default, you know what I'm saying? Like Shin Megami Tensei 4, Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. Those are the type of RPGs that we love that came out during the Super Nintendo era. The 3DS has everything from that encapsulates the Super Nintendo era, but it's just the 3DS, and it's not the console. It's just a portable. So if Nintendo can make the NX to where all of those games are playable on console and like they look good and they're fine and everything, then we can get back those Super Nintendo years. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can get back that, but we just got to be vigilant. We've got to let Nintendo know what we want. And I think the sales results of the Wii U shows that Nintendo has to do things differently, and they need third-party support. So hopefully they push forward with that next generation. All right. Next question Jay Turner says, yeah, I agree. They also like to see Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 2 on the NX. Yep, I agree too. Next question comes from T-Dude73. Since this year's Nintendo digital event was a freaking mess, yes, it was, do you think the company should do next year's live media briefing at the Microsoft Center and introduce their new system? By the way, do you think the NX launch will be 2017 or 2018 would be reliable? Yes, I think Nintendo should return to the States next year, which I think that they are. And I think that they're setting that up. That's another thing that I want to talk about. I think Nintendo's setting up a return to the stage. I don't think you can do a digital event where you're saying like, okay, well, here's a new console digital event. I mean, you could, and you could make it look awesome, but you need, like, when you're announcing new hardware, you need that punch. You need that live thing. Now, they did that with the new Nintendo 3DS. They didn't have a press conference for that or anything. But I think that they're returning to the stage. I think Iwata's going to be there. I think Reggie Miyamoto, I think Tanabe, I think all the guys are going to be there, and they're going to announce this NX, and they're going to come out guns blazing next year saying, hey, we've got ports of Wii U games, or we've got Wii U digital download. We've got a program for people who have the Wii U for trade-ins and stuff like that. I don't know if they'll announce that next year, but maybe the year after. I don't know. But they need to be aggressive. Like, they need to be aggressive, and they need to make sure that this system, the NX, you cannot invest 10 gazillion trillion bazillion dollars into the system. You can't. Sony made a good decision and said, hey, we're going to make this respectable. We're not going to invest in crazy technology anymore. They didn't invest in Move 2, like, for at least with the PS4. They're doing that with Morpheus, but that's a whole separate thing. They said the PS4, it's going to be off-the-shelf PC parts. We're going to do a couple things here and there. We're going to sell it at $200 less than the PS3, and it was successful. Nintendo needs to make a system, make it respectable. Don't invest so much like they invested into the Wii U, into some crazy technology. In my opinion, it's a slap in the face to Nintendo's developers to say that, hey, you guys need a gamepad, you guys need a Wii remote, you guys need some type of crazy new thing to make innovation. That's a slap in the face to Nintendo developers to me. If I was a developer at Nintendo, I would be like, okay, what are you trying, like, you're trying to tell me that I can't make an innovative game without some type of gamepad or something? Screw you. That's what I would think. At least if I'm a long-time developer, I don't need a gamepad. I don't need a Wii remote to make an awesome game. I don't need any. I just need to make the game of actually how good it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, and what you do in the game. I think that can be innovative. Super Mario 3D World is innovative. You don't need a gamepad for the innovation in that game. Super Mario Galaxy is innovative. The Wii Remote and Nunchuck didn't make Super Mario Galaxy innovative. It's innovative because of the game design. You know what I'm saying? I think the Wonderful 101 is innovative. I think those games are innovative without the input designs, without Wiimote, without gamepad. And I think it's a slap in the face for people to say that they need some type of crazy input for them to make innovative games. This is Nintendo we're talking about here. Okay? These people are the masters of games. They made games that were innovative with 2 buttons and a D-pad. And I think that if you gave them that same control scheme, they can still make games innovative. So, in my opinion, when Nintendo does release the NX, which I do think that I think a 2017 launch is definitely a safe bet. It could launch holiday 2016, but I do think a 2017 launch is definitely doable. 2018, I think that's too far away. I don't think it'll go until 2018. I think it'll go 2016 late, or early 2017, or holiday 2017. If they stretch it out that long, you're going to have to support the Wii U for longer, and you're going to have problems putting games out on both unless you do cross-gen. But I don't think Nintendo has the resources to do a bunch of cross-gen. So I think it launches reliably. I'm more confident with the 2017 title, but I would not, or 2017 launch, but I would not be surprised if it launched 2016 and they fast-tracked it and they did digital download Wii U games, and they did like a big Metroid game, big Mario game. And that's that, you know. So yeah, good question. Next question comes from Jay Turner. I wonder why Devil's Third wasn't shown at E3 or announced a release date. It seems awful curious, considering the game is due out in August in Japan and Europe. I wonder when it'll be confirmed. I mean, hopefully we have what was it? A Nintendo Direct like next month or something announcing it. Maybe they want to do like a a stealth, like not a stealth launch, but like a fast turnaround, where like they announce it and it's like out very soon to hype the game. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe they want to super hype it for North America. I don't know. Next question comes from the general. I salute you again. Your thoughts on Reggie's mad Smash Bros skills, bro? Reggie needs to learn how to press up B. People talk about Reggie needing to be fired over his damage control. Reggie needs to be fired over his Smash Bros play. Goodness gracious! All I needed to do is press up B. Doesn't know how to press up B. Yeah, very, very disappointing with Reggie's Smash Bros skills. He's really bad at the game. Has he ever played the game? I don't know how many times. I don't know if Reggie's even played it. Like he can't press up B. My daughter can press up B and recover. So she's 3. Anyway. Next question comes from T-Dude73. Speaking on the Nintendo years, what do you think Microsoft launching Rare Replay for Xbox One, especially with the 30 games crammed into one disc? It's amazing. Like I said, I do have an interview with Chris Davies from Microsoft, and he's actually from Rare. And we talk about Rare Replay. And when I was with Maximilian Dude, we were playing Rare Replay at E3. So I think Rare Replay is really good, guys. It is really good. 30 games for $30, all crammed onto one disc. And it's not just that. There's more. There's like features. They have interviews with old Rare guys. They have snapshot challenges. They have 10,000 gamer points. This is a Rare's fan's dream. RC Pro AM. Oh man, I have so many. Like the bare knuckle games, the Streets of Rage, bare knuckle, the hardcore games that are included on that disc, man. It's so good. Perfect Dark, so many cool things on there. I cannot wait to play this Rare Replay. I had a blast playing it, and I think that might be a system seller. Honestly, like it is really good because you can't do this on PC. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't. I mean, you can download all those games, but they don't have the achievement points. They don't have the special features. They don't have the snapshot challenges. This isn't just a simple like, okay, here's a disc with 30 games. Go play. There is a lot of stuff. This encapsulates Rare's history, and I'm telling you, Rare is back. If Sea of Thieves is as good as I heard about it, like there's some stuff that me and Chris Davies talked about off air. If it's as good as what I'm hearing, Rare is back, baby. I think this is the first step, Rare Replay, and then Sea of Thieves. If they can capitalize, if Sea of Thieves it doesn't even have to be AAA. If it's a B title, Rare's back. You know what I'm saying? Rare is back. I mean, if it's like a 80% on Metacritic, I don't care. Rare's back. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for both of them. I had to get that interview. You guys check out the interview. It's going live in a few hours. So, stay tuned to PlayerEssence at my YouTube channel. I already have it uploaded. It's going live at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. So look forward to that interview. It's good. Next question comes from Capable Tie 7. Do you think Nintendo should have kept Metroid Prime out of the title Federation Force? Probably. But I think ultimately, the game will sell more because it has it in the title, maybe. The Metroid fans are hardcore. So, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know how this is going to go. I really don't. It has 59,000 dislikes on Nintendo's YouTube page. That's a record. That's a record for dislikes on Nintendo. For Nintendo, I think that's an all-time record. 59,000. 60,000. You're kidding me. That's insane. Anyway, next question. Ooh, man. Okay, we're getting to the end here. Next question comes from T-Dude73. If the rumor of AMD on Nintendo's NX is true, do you think they'll use both ARM portable and x86 home console processor? That's not a rumor. I don't think that's a rumor, is it? That AMD's on the NX? I think that's pretty much, it is kind of a rumor. It's not confirmed, but when the AMD guy says, yeah, we have an x86, an ARM, coming out in 2016. You'll hear about it in 2016. And then Nintendo says, oh, we're going to show the NX in 2016. What were they talking about? Let's just do some basic journalism here, guys. Let's connect some dots. They're talking about the NX, So it's pretty much Nintendo's next system is going to use an X80 or it's going to use x86. This isn't a question, you know. Um, so yeah. Um, oh, okay. So we have some clarifications from Capable Ty. I didn't mean fired. I meant demoted so someone else can step up like Phil Spencer did. I don't know if being demoted is such a good idea. I think those guys have been so used to running things. I don't know how they would take being demoted. I think Reggie would just leave. If Reggie was to leave Nintendo, he'd get a job somewhere else in an instant. You know, his track record on our resume looks freaking amazing. You know, Reggie could get hired anywhere for the most part. Um, he was there during the GameCube years and the Game Boy Advance years at the tail end. He oversaw the Wii and 3DS sales, which all time history, Nintendo's best selling system of all time, their best selling portable of all time, their best selling console of all time, their best selling software rates of all time. He's there during the 3DS, which, you know, despite not being as high selling, is still 50 million plus units. The Wii U not so hot, but um, you know, him being demoted, he would just leave. He would just leave. He would go to, I don't know, maybe he'd go to Little Caesars instead of pizza. But yeah, he would leave. He would leave because demoted, you know, you get your salary reduced, and why would Reggie take a pay cut, especially when he's had more success than failure, you know? Um, so yeah, nobody got demoted over the PS Vita. So, or for the most part, I mean, Kaz Hirai is still around. Andrew House is still around. Those guys aren't. Shuhei Yoshida is still around. Those guys aren't going anywhere, um, or being demoted. So, um, although I would love to see a Phil Spencer type, like I said, I would love to see a Phil Spencer type come in. Maybe, you know, maybe Nintendo does do. I mean, does dual. I mean, maybe they do dual type of guys like COOs. Maybe they work together. You know, Sony has a bunch of different people. Like Sony has Kaz Hirai, Sony has uh, Andrew House, Sony has Shuhei Yoshida. It seems like they're all doing the same thing. So I mean, you know, maybe they hire somebody else to come in and light a fire. So I mean, I don't know if that even works, but hey, whatever. Um, Next question comes from Jay Turner. Off topic. Could you talk a bit about Bloodstained and Armature's efforts to bring the game to Wii U? I think skeptical fans might need some reassurance that it won't turn out like Project Cars. Well, here's the thing. I think their efforts, the thing about it is that it's confirmed that they're working on the game. Okay. They hit the stretch goal. Um, Project Cars was not Kickstarter funded. It was like privately funded, I think. It might have been Kickstarter, but I'm pretty sure it was funded differently. And there wasn't any like version to pick. You know, they said that there's going to be a Wii U version, but it's not the same way that Armature has been hired on. Like we know confirmed for a fact that Armature has been hired on. They've got the money. They've said it's coming. They've Whereas with Project Cars, it was always shadiness around it. You know, I don't think it'll turn out like Project Cars, just because of the way the history behind um, Castlevania, the history behind what Nintendo fans have done with Castlevania and all that. I mean, Igarashi made 3 amazing Nintendo DS or 3DS titles, and I think that he wants those people to buy the game. Project Cars is a realistic simulator. Um, Third parties have had really tense relationships as far as realistic games or as far as major third party games go. So I think it's a different situation. Um, I understand why fans can be skeptical, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that just because something happened with Project Cars that it will happen with Bloodstained. If that's the case, then PS Vita fans should be skeptical too. Um, which the the PS Vita version costs more than the Wii U version to make as far as the stretch goals go. Um, but overall, I think that it's good. I think that, you know, the Wii U getting this game, it's just in 2017. I would love to see an NX port as well, which I think could happen. Um, So yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on that. Um, as far as Project Cars, you already know my thoughts on that. Those guys are liars, you know. Next question comes from Capable Tie 7. Didn't Jack Trenton leave Sony? I like him better than Andrew House, Sean Layden, and Adam Boyles. Yeah, Jack Trenton did leave Sony. I don't think he had to leave Sony for any particular reason, but he did. They just came to a conclusion that, yeah, he's going to leave. But I don't think he necessarily had to leave Sony. But yeah, you're right. He did. As far as him between Adam Boyles and him, I mean, they're all the same guys. There's really no difference. I mean, if you look at when did Jack Trenton leave? Jack Trenton left a couple years ago, didn't he? Yeah, I don't. I'm more about the games than the actual people, and I understand these people are the ones who bring the games and who make decisions. But you know, I'm more about the games than anything. Like as long as Sony delivers on Zero Dawn, I'll be happy on the Horizon. So whatever. This next question comes from Hollow. Is it Hollow Knight? Hollow Knight. What do you think about Shin Megami Tensei Crossfire Emblem? Do you think it will sell? What do I think about Shin Megami Tensei Crossfire Emblem? I think it's cool. I think the battle system is fun. I think that the game is. I think it looks good. I like the aesthetics of it. I like the combat. I think that's cool too. Do I think it will sell? It will sell moderately because it has that Persona vibe. I think Persona fans are going to get it. I mean, if the game reviews well, it will. I think it will do well. I think it will do. I think it'll be profitable. You have Shin Megami Tensei, you have Fire Emblem, you have a base of people, and you do have that otaku edge to it, that otaku spin that people are going to buy, that people like. So it'll find its audience, and I think it'll do well. Excuse me. Next question comes from T Dude 73. What are your thoughts on Bayonetta 2 director Hashimoto in directing Star Fox Zero now that Platinum Games is co-developing it with EA? I don't think he's involved as much as Nintendo says he is. Because they did say that they have a couple of Platinum Games people that are working from Nintendo's office, their EAD office, and I don't think he's involved as much. I think he's just reporting back, like giving some tips here and there. But I mean, these guys have never worked on the Star. I mean, I don't understand where the parallels come. I mean, it's cool that they're helping develop, but after seeing what they've put out, like, what exactly is the Platinum edge on this game? Is there going to be land combat with Fox? Maybe they add that, but what does Platinum Games bring to the Star Fox experience that EAD couldn't do? That's what I want to know. Because this Star Fox game looks like who did Assault? Was it Namco Bandai Namco that did Assault? Or somebody. It doesn't look like anything that somebody else couldn't have done. I don't see Platinum's taste in this game. I don't see it. So it doesn't seem to be like anything Nintendo couldn't do. So for me, oh well, that it's Platinum Games helping develop the game. What does it do? I mean, the game, it's Star Fox. It's not Bayonetta. This isn't an action game like Bayonetta or or The Wonderful 101 or anything like that. So I would like to see Platinum Games help out with an action game that Nintendo has, like an action franchise from Nintendo. That's what I would like to see. So it is what it is. Next question comes from T-Dude73. Do you think Nintendo EAD and Platinum Games delay the launch of Star Fox Zero? I think they need to pause the HD visuals like Kamiya had with Wonderful 101. I think Wonderful 101 and Star Fox they both have really basic visuals. I know Wonderful 101 looked better, but looking at both of those games, it's not like the Wonderful 101's graphics are like a lot better. Wonderful 101 does have more detail in certain places because it's a finished product, and Star Fox isn't finished. But at the end, they both could look very similar as far as the level of detail and graphics on there. But yeah, I think that they could delay the game. I think that they could delay it to March, and make Xenoblade the November game, and work on some small title like they did. What was it? Captain Toad. Get an engine that you've already used, make a title, and release that in December. Make a different title, make a remaster, make HD port, make an HD port of Bates and Katos, please. Put Origins and put Bates and Katos on one disc, and release it. Make an HD port of that game and release it in December. That'll sell 500,000 copies. Guarantee you, you know? So I don't think that it needs to come out this holiday. After what we've seen, I don't think it needs to come out this holiday, you know? But that's just my opinion. It's cool if it comes out, and if it's great, that's cool. If they can get it done. But if they delay it, add multiplayer. Add multiplayer, polish up the visuals, and release it in February or March. I don't think the Wii U's balance hangs on Star Fox coming out this fall, you know? So, okay, yeah. So TD said Bandai Namco did develop Assault. Okay, so yeah, it kind of looks like Assault at times. Like Assault actually looks better here at certain points, you know? So I don't think they needed to get Platinum Games, you know? I don't think it does anything to me. I don't know. Next question comes from Capable Tie 7. What was worse, Sony showing Disney Infinity or Destiny? Disney Infinity. I don't like Disney Infinity, so I'm going to go with that one. And the last question comes from Jay Turner 70, or sorry, just Jay Turner. Didn't you say you had an interview with Armature coming up? I'd love to see it. I'm still working on it. The interview is it's more just like a sit down and talk. There are some things that I went over with some of them, but yeah, that's coming later after my E3 coverage. So yeah, that's coming later. I can't talk about it a lot right now. Next question comes from Mick CIM. Do you think much of Nintendo's event, or sorry, let me repeat this. Do you think much of the Nintendo event disappointment came from high expectations? Yes, because coming off of last year, you know, it's the same thing. Like, I'm going to use a sports analogy. Like, if you win the NBA championship, like for instance, like the Golden State Warriors, they won the NBA championship, right? Or if you're in Europe, the UEFA League or whatever, whoever's the champion, Real Madrid, you know, whoever's the champions. I don't know. I don't watch soccer. But if you win the championship, you know, and if you have the best players, which Nintendo's usually known for having the best games, and you come out the next year and not show up, yeah, you're disappointed because the year before you won the championship. So the Golden State Warriors, they won the championship this year. Next year, if they don't win the championship or if they don't make it to the playoffs, yeah, people are going to be disappointed. They could have a good season, but if they don't win the championship next year, yeah, disappointment. Because last year they won the championship. So it's the same thing. And that's the thing that people need to realize. Like, you know, with Nintendo, last year, in lots of people's opinion, Nintendo won E3. Nintendo came out with the best games. So they had the best players. They came out and they scored touchdowns. They came out and they drained three-pointers. They came out and they scored goals. They rained on the competition, plain and simple. Metacritic-wise, they beat everybody. So in the media, with fans, they beat everybody. Game sales, Nintendo sold, even with the low sales of the Wii U. Mario Kart, Smash Bros, Hyrule Warriors, heck, even Bayonetta 2. All of them 500,000 copies plus. You know what I'm saying? Like Captain Toad, 500,000 copies plus. All of them selling. Mario Kart selling like crazy. Like, you know, like this is what people expect. They expected Nintendo to bring the heat, and Nintendo didn't bring the heat. They expect that because the year before they did very well, and that was their first digital event. That was their first one. The year before was a Nintendo Direct. This year was a digital event, and they expected Nintendo to bring that type of that oomph, and we didn't get it. We got a lot of Mario. We got multiple Mario announcements. They talked about Amiibo. They talked about games that we already knew that were coming, and they did not bring the heat. And they completely left games out that they have. So people's expectations were high, but rightfully so. We expect a lot out of Nintendo. Look here, I mean, Nintendo, in my opinion, Nintendo is the Chicago Bulls they are the multiple time champions. You know what I'm saying? Like they have a history of winning. They have a history of selling. They have a history of putting together great presentations, great products. And when they don't win, it was disappointment. Same thing with when I was rooting for the Bulls back when Jordan came back and they lost, even though they had a good season. I was disappointed. They had a great season when Jordan came back from baseball, but they didn't win the championship, and they came off of winning a three-peat. I was upset. It doesn't matter if they had a good team or if they had a good season. I was upset because we hold them to a high standard, and that's why Nintendo's great. It's because we hold them to a high standard, and their games are high quality, and we need to continue holding Nintendo to that high standard, and that's why Nintendo makes the best games. When people criticize Nintendo, when people get really mad at Nintendo, I no longer get upset. I stopped getting upset because you know why? Because Nintendo, in my opinion, is the best, and when you're the best, you get criticized like that. People are criticizing LeBron James because he lost. You know why they're criticizing him? Because LeBron James is the best. Because he's 6'8", he's 250 pounds, and he's the 4-time NBA MVP, and he's won 2 championships, and he lost this one. And he had one of the best series of all time, but people are still saying that he's a failure, or still saying that his legacy's tarnished. You know why? Because they expect more. And that's the type of level that I'm putting Nintendo at. They're at a high level, and we should hold them to that high level, and because they're great, and I'm never going to lose faith in Nintendo, even though they didn't come out with a great presentation this year. I don't care. Suck it up, get ready, and come out again. There's always a tomorrow until you're gone, there's many tomorrows, and that's what I want to stress. In anything I say, even if I'm critical, there's a tomorrow, guys. There's a tomorrow, and that's the same thing with Nintendo. So yeah, I was disappointed. Yeah, we had high expectations, but rightfully so. They're the champs. They've done it. They've done it before. They can do it again. They stunk it up this year, but that's fine. They're going to come back out next year. They're going to show off the NX. They're going to come with the games. And next year, I guarantee you guys, next year at this time, we're going to be like Nintendo. Yes, we're going to be like Nintendo is here. So I'm not worried one bit, They got the mobile games to back them up. As far as financially coming out this holiday, I'm not worried. People think that when I complain, I'm worried or I'm not worried. Do I sound worried about Nintendo? I don't worry about Microsoft, Sony, because I trust all of them. I'm not worried about anybody because I trust Phil Spencer. Sony, I don't personally trust Sony to make great games, but I have confidence in them that they can continue doing what they're doing. I have confidence in Microsoft and Phil Spencer. I have confidence in what they can do. Me saying that people should be fired doesn't change anything, or demoted, or it doesn't change anything. So yeah, I have high expectations for them, Sorry, I kind of went off on a little rant there, but I think it's true. I think that's what we need to do. We need to hold them to high expectations every year because it's Nintendo. If we didn't have high expectations for Nintendo wouldn't be quality. Like Ouya. Does anybody have any expectations for Ouya? No, because you don't get quality with Ouya. Ouya is not quality. Ouya isn't Nintendo. So that's why nobody bashes Ouya. That's why nobody talks about Ouya, because Ouya isn't Nintendo. Ouya had a horrible E3 last year. They were there, but they had a horrible one. Nobody cares. There's no expectations. It's okay. But yeah, to answer your questions, yeah, a lot of the disappointment came from high expectations, but like I said, rightfully so, Yeah, Incapable Ty says Nintendo this year was like Spain in the World Cup. Nintendo this year was like Spain in the last World Cup. Yeah, like Spain, they have the best players, do they not? Like Spain usually has the best football players or soccer players, right? They have what's his name, Messier or whatever his name is. I'm sorry, I'm not big on soccer, but they have the best players. They usually have the best guys, and when they don't win, people are pissed. And that's the same thing. Let's all hold Nintendo to a high standard. It's okay to be upset at them. The problem that I have is when people don't play the games. If you're not playing the games that you're complaining, I have a problem with that. If you're not playing Smash Bros, if you're not playing Mario Kart, if you're not playing Splatoon, yet you're complaining, I have a problem with that. That'd be like me saying, hey, you know what? Soccer's just trash. It's horrible. Messier sucks. He's horrible. I don't watch soccer. I don't know if he's good or not. I don't know anything like that. Yeah, I'm over here trashing him. I have no clue. So that's a problem that I have, is when people don't play the games, yet they're trashing Nintendo like crazy. I'm like, hold up. You can be upset. You can be disappointed, but at least play the games. At least try the games out, because the games are quality from what they've shown. They just need more. They just need more third-party support. They need more. But the games that Nintendo's put out, are quality. Now, have they made mistakes? Yes. One RPG in 3 years, I don't care what anybody says, that's a mistake. That is a mistake. One RPG in 3 years, screw that. I'm not going to sit here and defend that. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no defense for that. That's horrible. That's not good. One RPG from Nintendo in 3 years? No, no. So yeah, you're right. I mean, when things don't go right, people are going to be upset. So next question comes from T Dude. Final question: do you think Nintendo and Jim Henson's Muppets should make a Star Fox commercial? No, I don't want to see those Muppets anymore. I'll be honest. I don't think the Muppet thing works for the type of people who are going to play Star Fox. That's an old school franchise. Make it an old school commercial. Make it like, you know, make it what the game is about. Don't have any gimmicks like Muppets in there. I think one of the cool things about Splatoon's commercials that it was just a game. It was just, this is what the game looks like. This is what it's about. This is what the turf war is. I know a lot of people hated Splatoon's commercials, but at least it was the game. It was showing the game. It was explaining what some of the game was about. It was just, and Splatoon's doing well. People complain about the marketing, but Splatoon's sales and Splatoon's commercials on Cartoon Network are having an impact. Kids are picking up Splatoon. Every time I go to Walmart, I see kids buying it, and that marketing is working for Splatoon's sales. And I think adults are buying Splatoon as well, but kids are also buying it. Nintendo's getting some more kids on board, which is what they wanted to do. Um, uh, so yeah, it's all good, there. Next question comes from Capable Tie 7. Why was so much DLC in Splatoon locked behind the disc, but nobody is talking about that? It's never a good thing, whether it's third party or Nintendo. People are talking about Splatoon's DLC being locked on the disc. The difference between third party and with Nintendo is that Nintendo is doing it in a way to where people can enjoy the game and enjoy it bit by bit. Sometimes when you throw everything at somebody right away, they might be overwhelmed, especially with the new IP and the type of game that it is. So the fact that Nintendo was unlocking things and saying, hey, experience this, hey, have this, and the fact that it's free updates, it's free stuff. And I understand that like why it might be a bad precedent, but if everybody did it the way Nintendo's doing it, it wouldn't be as much of a problem. See what I'm saying? Like it wouldn't be, because the problem is like when you lock this and then you charge for it, like when you charge like extra money for it, that's a problem if it's already on the disc and like you're just locking it away. Like, but with Splatoon, it's already free online multiplayer, so you're not paying for multiplayer like you do on Microsoft and Sony, and it's being unlocked at a rate to where every week you have something new and fresh to experience, and it gives you time to experience everything that they've already given you. So I can see what you're saying, and I definitely understand why you're upset. I'm not bashing you or saying that you shouldn't be upset for the way that it's being handled, but it also gives Nintendo a time if something like was to break, there wouldn't be a problem. Like I think that Splatoon's content being staggered, like it gives them time to work on things, because a lot of time, like if you throw everything out in one go, that gives you a higher chance for things not to work right. Like Halo Master Chief Collection, that game was, everything was just thrown on there, all the features, all the achievements, all the points, all the games, and it broke. It kind of broke, and they went back and said, man, we really should have staggered the content, staggered stuff. Like we should have just said, okay, when you buy Halo Master Chief Collection, you get Halo 1 and Halo 2 at this point, and then later we'll release Halo 3, Halo 4, like they should have staggered it. They shouldn't have released everything right then because it broke the game. So I'm not trying to put Splatoon at the same level because Halo Master Chief has way more content. But at the same time, like you just don't want things to break. And things have already kind of broke with Splatfest. There was really long wait times. So imagine if they put everything out, then that increases the risk for stuff not working correctly, especially in a game like Splatoon, and where Nintendo's network isn't even as good as Microsoft's. So that's my take on that. Next, or the last one comes from Capable Tie. I was at Best Buy and they had a bunch of TVs playing the annoying Splatoon commercials, shaking my head. Well, yeah, they had it playing, but Splatoon's selling. So, I mean, it's working somewhat, I guess, right? All right, so it looks like that wraps it up for all the questions that I have here. Thank you guys so much for watching this podcast. I do appreciate it. Went a little bit longer than I thought it would go, but I had a lot of good questions, and I think there was a lot of good discussion. Remember, just be respectful as far as everybody else's opinion, and what's going on, and just know as far as like, just so I can talk to people on the website, like, guys, come on, just, I know Nintendo this Sunday didn't have the best week, and people disagree here, but just relax, okay? Like, um, just chill, like with all the hatred and stuff like that, and it's not cool, So if you're on the site and you're seeing that, respect people's opinions, you know. There's no need to bash the companies. Like these games are supposed to be fun, right? No matter what system you're playing on. Like I have all of them. It's supposed to be fun. I could pass the PS Vita all day if I wanted to, but I don't need to. You know, it's getting crushed by the 3DS. Do I need to bring it up every day? No. So like when you're on the site, when you're commenting, like just try to be encouraging to Microsoft and Sony fans. That's one thing I do want to say. Like let's be encouraging to if they like and what their preferences are in third party support and stuff like that. And I think I said it's vice versa. If you're more of a Sony and Microsoft guy, which I believe it or not, I do have those guys that come to my site. A lot of them have expressed to me that necessarily PlayerEssence community might not be the best for them because whenever they talk about third parties, they get bashed. So if you're a Nintendo fan and you're on the site, please be encouraging to these Sony fans and these Microsoft fans because we're here just to play games, right? I think if we all work together, we can get what everybody wants. And what everybody wants is full support and amazing first party games. So if Microsoft or if Sony fans say, hey, you know what, Sony, you need to make better first party games. And if Nintendo fans say, hey, you know what, Nintendo, you need to get third party support. We all get what we want, right? We want Sony to make better first party games because their first party games are lacking. We want Nintendo to get more third party support because then there wouldn't be as many holes in the software line of gaps. Like, what if the Wii U got The Witcher? What if the Wii U got Batman? That'd be good. I don't care if you like third-party games or not. That's good. So, as far as just addressing PlayerEssence in my YouTube community, guys, let's work together. Like let's, I'm not trying to start a movement or anything like that, but let's work together to get what we want. And what we want is great games for everybody, right? That's what we want, right? We want great games. So there's no need to be disparaging or bash another system or those fans of those systems. Let's make PlayerEssence a community to where anybody can feel welcome, whether you're on the Microsoft or Sony side or whether you're on the Nintendo side. And that's one of the big reasons why I changed it back to PlayerEssence, because I want things to be balanced. I want things to, I've been playing Microsoft and Sony's games. Do I think they're better than Nintendo's? No. But dang it, I want those third-party games on Nintendo systems as well. I want Fallout 4 on Nintendo systems. I want Fallout 4 on the NX. I want Kingdom Hearts. I want Final Fantasy 15. Even though I have a way to play them, I want those on Nintendo systems, So let's all work together to change the perception of not only PlayerEssence users, but people in general on the internet, okay? We need to change the perception. And that's what I'm working really hard to do on PlayerEssence with my community, okay? I'm working really hard to do that, to change the perception of my site, of myself, of everything. So just keep that in mind when you're on PlayerEssence, when you're talking about games. Let's just be inviting to everybody. Let's say, hey, don't bash third-party games, unless they need bashing. Unless they need the feedback or criticism, let's bash them. But be fair about it. Be fair with be constructive criticism. Not necessarily bashing just because this game sucks, blah, blah, blah. Be constructive. If it sucks, say why it sucks. Say why you're not happy with the game. Don't just leave it at that, because then it makes you look like a hater. If you just say this game sucks, it's horrible, then you look like a hater. If you think a game isn't good, say, well, you know what? I don't think this game is good because they have a lot of DLC that's locked behind this and they charge this much. Or say, hey, I don't think this is good because the controls don't feel right with me. It's not really responsive. Always give a reason why, Therefore, that changes the perception. Therefore, that leads to intelligent conversation, So that's what I would like for everybody, the PlayerEssence community and my YouTube community. And I think that right there will get companies to notice, So if everybody did that, So that's just my take. I'm sorry for going all, Dr. Phil on you guys or anything, but I'm trying to do a better job and the best I can. I'm really trying, and it's a one-man show, guys. Believe it, it's just me. It's just me running this whole thing. So yeah, that's that. Yeah, and Capable Ty is saying, yeah, there's a lot of Sony bashing that didn't used to be on P. Yeah, and that needs to stop. That needs to stop. That really needs to stop. And Rayquaza says, I reckon Nintendo should make an amiibo game on the level of Skylanders Infinity, as a majority of them are useless. Yeah, and then Rayquaza says the negativity made me stop commenting. Yeah, and you know, and I can't just ban people anymore. That's one other thing that I do want to say. I can't just ban people because then I have people screaming that I'm censoring. And I take feedback even if it's from people that I dislike. I take feedback very, very seriously from people that have bashed my site, that have made negative videos, that have said things. It's not like I'm not immune to feedback. I take their feedback seriously, from the biggest YouTubers to the smallest YouTubers, from everybody. I'm not a closed book as many people say that I am. I'm really not. Like, I take feedback seriously. I really do. And I can't just go around like, if somebody breaks the rules one time, I can't just ban them, even though it says that in the code of conduct. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give them warnings. I'm going to give them multiple warnings. I'm going to tell them, hey, can you do this? I'm going to, ask them to stop acting the way, because I want there to be better conversation. Now, if somebody's crazy and they continue making crazy comments, then yeah, they can be banned. But I'm going to do a better job, and I've been doing a better job of being a little bit more lenient and just telling people, hey, like, calm down, trying to talk to people reasonably. And I think good moderators do stuff like that. And I think that's one of the ways that I can change the perception of my website, and change the perception of, and like, help the community grow as a whole. So yeah, some people are saying, yeah, I may not like Sony as much as I used to, which I don't either, but I don't bash them like a hater, and neither do I. I don't like Sony anywhere near as much as I used to. I love the PS2. I do not like Sony as much as I used to, but it is what it is. They're doing what they can. So that basically wraps it up, guys. I'm done with my I'm off of my soapbox. Okay, and thank you guys so much for watching. This one went for 2 hours. I only wanted it to be 1 hour, but we had a lot of questions to go through. So yeah, that basically wraps it up for this one. Thank you so much. That interview is going live in about an hour and a half, so look forward to that interview with Chris Davies from Rare right here on my YouTube channel. All right, make sure you check out PlayerEssence.com for all your news, reviews, trailers, tips, and tricks, as I'll be having a bunch of content going up this weekend, actually, because the family is out of town and I'm just here chilling. So I'm going to be sleeping, waking up, doing videos, doing posts. Probably not videos because I already did 2 for today, but I'm doing posts. So I will be updating PlayerEssence throughout the weekend till my daughter and fiance get back from out of town. So look forward to more content going up on PlayerEssence. All right, so that wraps it up for this one, guys, and we will see you for the next one. Peace.